Time to take an inside look at what's happening now. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint and Evo 4G, America's first 4G phone. Kevin Harvick gaining some 24 positions today. He has, in fact, been on the move. And the man who's been out front most of the day would be one Denny Hamlin. Yes, he has been impressive today. Hamlin turning the fastest lap of the race at just under 54 seconds. For more NASCAR stats and live in-car audio, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile and the Evo only from Sprint at sprint.com/speed. Matt Yoakum.
Adam, a problem has developed on the 2 of Brad Keselowski. About 5 laps ago, he came on and he said, I have a vibration like I've never felt before. I can't diagnose it yet. And then a lap ago, he said, I believe I may have a loose rear wheel. We'll take a look at the wheels and see if there's any oblong holes. But that's what he is thinking on the 2.
Now, we hit on this at the beginning of the race. This is one of those places you just can't afford to make mistakes like this because you're going so fast here. If you have to come back down pit lane, unless a caution comes out, you're done.
Yeah, unless a caution comes out, and that's what we've not seen. We saw those early debris cautions, but you know, we've gone a long time here, so we've had a couple of green flag cycles, and when you have those green flag cycles and you make a mistake, it just compounds your problem. And this is the worst place to have a loose wheel. I'm telling you, I've seen some really hard hits up here through the year, breaking studs, breaking wheels, stuff like that. So you've got to come in and get it fixed.
Or anything, even a flat, because it takes you so long to get back to pit lane.
Montoya, the race leader, he took over on a cycle of green flag pit stops about 10 laps ago. Denny Hamlin, who has dominated this race today, leading 72 laps, is about 6 seconds behind. And here is Clint Bowyer. He's had a decent afternoon. Clint running in the 16th position. We go inside tracks with crew chief Shane Wilson. Plenty of work on pit road this afternoon. With that, we deliver our AT&T fastest pit crew update. Take a look at the teams that have spent the least amount of time on pit road this afternoon. This is an important area. No big surprises there. Montoya leading out front. And Kurt Busch having a good day. 3rd right now. Don't forget to vote by texting the car number for the pit crew you think will average the least amount of time on pit road in today's race. You can do so by texting the car number to 234-567.
You look at those numbers, you kind of, first thing I think about is, well, I wonder if they got all the fuel in the car.
Yeah, exactly. and that's going to be an issue. And you know, 2 things. Sun's out right now. Where'd the sun come from? I can't believe the sun's out. That's going to change the racetrack and some of the adjustments that these guys have been chasing.
Right. Oh,
if the racetrack frees up, because we've heard guys talk about freeing their cars up from being tight. If it gets real hot and slick, these guys are going to roll those back in. But you know, the funny thing, we're talking about Montoya here. We saw the difference between the 11's pit stop and the 42, and it was 4 seconds. Right now, he's 5.3 ahead. 4 of those seconds was lost on pit road, not on the racetrack. Right. And it's like you were talking about. You've got to hit all your marks. You've got to get all your stuff. But at the same time, we're sitting up here in the booth. We don't know whether he got it full or not. He may just have 1 can in it and then have to pit early and give it all back. And we've seen it with some of the other teams.
What's the latest on Brad Keselowski, Matt?
The day has taken a turn for the worse, Adam. Paul Wolfe, crew chief, looked at the wheels that came off the Blue Deuce. They looked fine. Then he just asked his driver, Brad Keselowski, do you still have the vibration? He said affirmative. Still have a vibration.
Okay. Now, if you have a wheel vibrating, that's one thing. These guys are shifting. Do we have a drivetrain vibration? Has he jammed this thing in gear, twisted the drive shaft? Is he off one spline? Has something happened inside the transmission? Now he's got a drivetrain vibration.
Man, that thing, I watched that left rear wheel bounce real bad.
It almost looked like it came up off the ground.
Yeah.
And that may be part of his problem. Maybe he's broken a shock, maybe something like that. It's hard to diagnose it with these cars because they run the rear sway bars, they run the front sway bars. You don't have a lot of feel with it.
So Brad Keselowski 1 lap down in 29th. He's got issues today, but not as big as the man who had the point lead entering today's race, Larry.
Yeah, Adam, I went down to the garage area, and there is about 12 mechanics around that 99 car of Carl Edwards. I remember our points leader. I talked to Jack Roush. Here's what Jack told me. Now, this is actually an intake valve, but it broke the head off of an exhaust valve. And how they found that, they pulled a spark plug out, and they take a borescope. It's almost like an x-ray machine. They were able to look down in there, and they could see the head of the valve laying on top of the piston. Now, what Jack told me, what they could see, it's not done a lot of damage. So what they're doing right now, they've pulled the intake manifold off, and they're trying to fish this head out of there. Jack said, Larry, if we're not successful, I'm going to pull the cylinder head off. He said, we still got a lot of time and a lot of race to go. Remember, only 1 point per position. Comes in here as our points leader by 40 points. A lot of work going on Carl Edwards' car.
It's always nice to have toys, and Larry McReynolds has got them all down at the Toyota Torque Car. Juan Montoya feeling good about himself. He leads this race 4.3 seconds in front of Denny Hamlin. Welcome back to Pocono Raceway. This triangular track has been here since the 1960s. 1974, the first visit for NASCAR. August of that year, the King Richard Petty went to Victory Lane. Plenty of racing history when you come here. You got the Hall of Famers, and then you got the other guy, Kyle Petty.
And you got the not the Hall of Famers. That's okay, dude. I used to drive that car.
Oh, wasn't it fun to watch? Denny Hamlin helping give you an inside view of what's happening here today. And fans, if you want more TNT coverage, the Coca-Cola in-car camera on Race Buddy lets you ride shotgun with the Coca-Cola Racing family of drivers. Check it out now. It's on NASCAR.com's Race Buddy.
Taking a liar out of me.
He just started.
He just started shifting again. Now, that could be because the sun came out,
yes.
The track's getting slipperier, and when the track gets slipperier, that downshifting helps a lot.
Could it be this? Maybe not, but he was leading earlier, wasn't shifting at all, had a little ground to make up, and he's doing it.
Yeah.
He was 6.5 seconds back, and now
Yes.
the lead for Montoya, 3.2.
And that could be part of it too, but we're also at the halfway point in the race. He's still running in the top 2 or 3. This could be a fuel mileage experiment for him too. Shift some. Let me see what our fuel mileage is on the next run. You don't know where these guys are or what they're thinking, and we can't outguess them. They're incredibly smart guys, and I'm not that smart. Let's just be honest.
Speaking of, let's go down to Marty.
Let's go to Marty, the smartest guy down there.
Not smart guys, right, Wally? I know where you're getting at with that. Yes, that was the plan all along for Mike Ford and Denny Hamlin. If they were in traffic, they would shift. Obviously, he's got a little traffic to work through to get back to the front. But when he's out front, not shift as much as they can because they wanted to save as much fuel as they could. And you guys are dead on. This track has drastically changed. A lot of guys have really gotten very loose out there, and some guys have gotten a lot faster, like Kurt Busch, one of the fastest cars on the track, clearly was not when it was cloudy.
Yeah, you're right, Marty. There's some guys that were actually a little bit tight. This guy being one of them. I think his car was tight at the end of a fuel run. So normally, when the sun comes out, it loosens up the cars, which is just going to make him faster yet.
Exactly.
That's just going to help him and hurt some of those guys that have been chasing, you know, the other way.
Yeah.
And now they're going to be even more loose.
Yeah, because we've heard guys say, I'm tight, I'm freeing it up, and then the sun pops out and you're double freed up.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now you've got to put all the adjustments back into it. And you know, chasing the racetrack, chasing another race car and racing another race car is one thing. Chasing your car in the racetrack is hard for a crew chief.
And to make your guys' point on the track change, look at the weather. We started today's race 67 degrees. It's now 74. And we have got sunshine, something we haven't seen all day. And
yes,
Jeff Burton off the pace.
He's way off the pace because he's on the access road.
And the access road, the road that you can take to avoid being on the track when you come through turn 3, Chris.
Well, Jeff Burton concerned that he could potentially be out of fuel. He was in just 22 laps ago, but telling the crew that the car shut off, so he's rolling to pit lane right now.
Man, that's way short, isn't it?
Way short. That's way short than his first.
Way short.
Even than his first stop.
But you know, we've already seen Rudeman, Truex, McMurray, Allmendinger, all have made green flag pit stops here. Vickers is in, so is Mark Martin. Let's hear about Vickers with Ralph.
Help make this car head a little bit better. They're going to put 2 turns of wedge in that left rear, fill them up with fuel, put tires on it, he's away.
See Jeff Burton coming to a stop here and getting his service. He was running in the 13th position when he was was off the pace.
But he lost so much time because if he is out of fuel, and you see those guys squirting the fuel in there, Chris, they're going to have a hard time on this one.
Yeah, well, it sounds like he's getting it fired occasionally, but then it shuts off again. So they're doing fuel and tires. He's been pretty happy with the setup, and they've been making a lot of ground. But the one reason he said he's falling back from the leader is he hasn't been shifting. Matt?
Chris, absolutely no headway made on the 16 of Greg Biffle. Still fighting the same thing. The car extremely tight on entry and absolutely no forward grip off. Significant chassis adjustment again, Ralph.
Matt, the 33 just will not turn for Clint Boyer. It's loose off. They took a pound of air out of the left front.
And we had a speeding penalty. Brian Vickers nabbed when he came down and made his green flag pit stop. That's the second time today we have seen someone caught speeding in a cycle of green flag stops. And here comes Kevin Harvick onto pit road. Lap 95, Marty.
You know, the interesting thing, Adam, earlier in this race, Harvick was the only one on this pit cycle. Now there's like 10 or 11 cars that are in this pit cycle, but they desperately need a caution. They have a car, time-wise, that's about a top 5 race car, but they just can't get it up front and get the track condition they need. Too loose for Harvick and 4 tires, Chris.
Marcus Ambrose saying that the car is a bit tight, so they're going to take some spring rubbers out of the right rear. Also a chassis adjustment, take a little bit of air out of the right rear too. And 4 tires and fuels for Marcus. And it sounds like Joey Logano is also in. Joey's been pretty happy with the car. They've been doing very well on their fuel runs. Greg Zipadelli's been asking Joey, what do you need, bud? What do you need? And he says, hey, whatever you're doing, everything's looking good right now.
So as Ambrose and Logano pull away, here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. making his scheduled stop. Looks like it's going to be 4 tires for the 88. Ryan Newman is in. Teammate and boss Tony Stewart making a green flag stop at lap 95, as is Matt Kenseth. Let's go down to Matt Yoakum.
And Ryan Newman's biggest complaint that the car was just too loose in turn 1 on entry and exit. But he slowed down and picked up on the stopwatch. Meanwhile, Matt Kenseth said this last run was the best run he has had all day. He hopes the sun stays out. Slight air pressure change for the 17.
Kyle Busch also came down pit road, got his green flag service. The race leader, Juan Pablo Montoya, now out front by 1.9 seconds over second place Denny Hamlin. Hamlin has shaved 5 seconds off the lead in this run.